Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time today, our panelists. I think we've heard quite a lot about how organizations have been successfully implementing health and well-being in their organizations, and we're very keen to hear from our panelists today. It's quite a diverse panel, so it is really across sectors. And Awatif, I wanted to start with you. You've given quite a comprehensive presentation on how Dubai Police has embedded health and well-being and safety across not only Dubai Police operations, but also for the employees, the people, the visitors. And so instead of asking you, how did you do it? Because I think you've already told us in detail, which was quite impressive. I wanted to ask you, what was the value? So what if you're communicating to other government entities, why would you recommend that health and well-being is incorporated in their ESG strategies?
Thanks, Farah. Good afternoon again. Just regarding the well-being and health and why we concentrate on it. To be honest, it's not just one of the vision for any organization. It should be for the city and country. And as we said, when we said about well-being and health, we want the city to be, first of all, happy. Second, resilience. When I said resilience, we are ready for any crisis and any, let's say, things that happening on the city. The third, sustainability. Sustainability, as you know, there is a sustainable goals that all countries, they are following it. Part of it, I remember that the second goal, it's a health and well-being. So this is the most important things of well-being that we have to concentrate on. Let's go to the level of the organization and cooperation. Well-being internally, it's linked to the successful of the organization. So when we introduce the well-being internally, we make sure that the organization and the organization, it is, let's say, success, productive, and have achieved pioneer level in all globally and internally. So for that reason, it's very important things that we have to concentrate on.
Thank you, and I think it's, as some of the panelists before said, like, it's about time we start talking about health and well-being, and it's really nice to hear that actually it made a huge impact. So moving to the hospitality sector, Khalid, what are some recent innovations that you've incorporated into your hotels to make them healthier, not only for your guests, but also for your employees who are sometimes forgotten in hospitality sectors?
Thank you. Look, the well-being of employees or guests, I think we need first to define the well-being, because it might differ from person to person, from employee to employee, and from guest to guest. But in general, if we focus on the employees, so of course one of the main is the wellness. And for that in the hotels, currently there are a lot of initiatives that are established and put in place by the international operators that do manage these hotels. And they always have a holistic approach that starts from the physical, the mental, and also the emotion side of the employee. And this is very important, and there is a positive correlation between the well-being of the employee and the satisfaction of the guests. Now, from the guest side, we have recently seen demand on a quality and the well-being from customers, and again, that goes through wellness, but not only the wellness that is limited to the spa and to some yoga programs in the hotel, but also to the design of the room, the quality of air in the room, the antibacteria that is today is really, there is a demand on this type of products. So we as owners and developers, we embrace all the initiatives that will turn these hotels into wellness. And usually these initiatives are usually presented by these operators that do manage on our behalf.
Thank you very much for that. I think it's really interesting that you said health and well-being means different things to different sectors, and I think that is very accurate in how to apply them. But also knowing that there is customer awareness as well, so it's driven by demand. So maybe it's no longer a choice. So that was really interesting. Samir, moving on to residential and commercial. How have you seen the demand and how have you been incorporating health and well-being within the Al-Futtaim portfolio?
For us in Festival City or Al-Futtaim, it's been a journey that is built on that wellness. Anybody that visited the city knows we're lucky. When I managed that properties, it was an ease of target. People, our residents, stay with us and are retained, and even at above market because of what we have. The wellness is embedded into that city from the schools right next to you. So you see the people in the morning walking their dogs, and then you see their children walking to their schools. You see the parents going to do the gym and then to do the run near the water. It was in the festival tower. It's built in a way that it's the wellness of the employees is embedded into that building. You want to have your lunch, you're able to walk into the mall, you want to walk around, you want to do a run. We do have a lot of activations as well, from the Santa runs, from many things that encourage our tenants and our employees to go around and enjoy the city. When we focus on the wellness of the visitors as a city in comprehensive, and then we start to talk about the visitors of the mall, and our team is engaged with a centralized command center that work together with our commercial, residential facility management, to the team and to the property management. So it's a well-coordinated structure that allows us to have it on ease to provide that wellness to our visitors across the city. That's why it was easy to obtain the certificate on Festival Tower, and our journey is never going to stop. We don't consider ourselves experts, but we continue to learn and benchmark. Now, one thing I have to highlight is we're lucky in Dubai. We have the resources, we have the capabilities, we have the know-how, we have the skills. One thing that is usually missing is the willingness to do this. And in Dubai, it's the government that benchmarks and drives you to do that, unlike any other place. When we hear the Dubai Police initiatives, or when we hear RERA and Land Department's initiatives, they're ahead of the game. They're even ahead of, like they said, we walked the talk. They started with their building, then the others. When I saw the announcement at Land Department as they're getting that certification, immediately, where do we stand? So they really push you and push the bar much higher. So we're proud of being part of the Dubai story. Dubai Festival City is always eager to continue to learn. One of the things I have to highlight, and I really challenge it, and it's one thing we're very proud of, is what's going to come. We build a new project. The design from the beginning, and that's something that was our colleague Guy was talking about, one of the projects. One of our residential communities that will be coming up soon, it's called Al-Badia Terraces. It's built on how the wellness of the tenants would be. What would a child need? What would a mother need? What would a person who wants to work from that place need? And we included all the components into that building in details. This is something that we would be proud to, once it's launched, and it's in the construction stage, when it's completed, it would be a showcase. I don't think anything has something with those components in mind as much as we've done it. And we've engaged the several consultants that were also on the panel, on different panels from ESG to others, to really ensure that we have the best of the mark on our communities. So we're very proud of it.
Thank you. That's really interesting, and thank you for sharing about the new development. I think just someone who's been in the industry here for a while, it's always been, we never talked about health and well-being. And talking about how health and well-being now kind of became almost as a demand rather than a nice to have. Obviously, it has really impacted the ESG agenda. So Jalil, speaking of ESG and obviously health and well-being is part of the S, the social and ESG, how has the increased importance of ESG impacted the way you advise your clients? And what are some of the strategies that you would recommend to hospitality sectors?
Yeah, thank you. I think well-being is really part of the E and the S and the G. It's more evident in the S, absolutely, but also it's also very prevalent in other components. Today, for example, in some markets like the US, but others around the world, those companies that can prove and showcase that they adhere to ESG standards, and there's quite a few of them out there, there's not a huge amount of standardization yet, they actually can get special interest rates from banks, and they can get some investment funds that will only invest in ESG-driven organizations. And hotel operators and investors are aware of that. So there's been a growing element, a growing emphasis on the importance of ESG. And that starts with the employees and the guests as well. There's also a lot of guests today, newer generation, but also our generation, that would make their decisions on their travel decisions based on if the property that they would be booking into would have, are applying ESG principles. So my advice and recommendation to owners and operators alike is not only to, I won't say greenwash the ESG principles, but be true to your principles and really look at what really matters for your guests and your employees. And as Khalid was mentioning in the hotels, it can go very far, but you can also take baby steps and get there gradually. Talking about Delos, the Delos Well program that is implemented also in hotels, and people are willing to pay a premium to stay in floors or rooms that are actually improving or helping to improve their well-being. And that investors, again, I was once anecdotally, but very recently talking to an investor, the first question in the first 2 minutes of our conf call, it was a West Coast-based investor, first thing he said, "What are you doing about ESG?" The first thing. Fortunately, I was a little prepared, but otherwise there's no conversation, and there's plenty of actually funds that are literally just ESG. I mean, the first condition, even before talking to them, is that. So I would say to any investor that today ESG is not an option, it's a must, and build that into your sort of your principles from the get-go, rather than backpedal and try to show that you're a good student, so to speak. And I would tell also all the operators, being hospitality operators or third-party operators, to embrace that as well and be true to there's so many things they can do with the community, with the employees, with the way they utilize the wastage, the no plastic thing, the air filtration, the water filtration. There is a bazillion things to do. Set up the priorities and just do that wholeheartedly, because it has a massive return on investment, if it's not only for the planet and the people of this planet. If those who only look at the bottom line and the paycheck, that has a return as well.
Thank you for highlighting that. I mean, money makes the world go around, and as you just said, it's really the finance sector that is now pushing the ESG agenda across corporates. So a general question to all panelists, hopefully to inspire people in the little audience that we have left. If there's anyone in the audience who's thinking of starting their ESG or health and well-being journey within their corporate, within their organization, what are some lessons learned? Or what are like first steps that you would recommend from your point of view, from your journey within your organization?
Call Delos.
What else?
I just want to say something. to start with the well-being and health journey, it's not an easy journey. From my perspective, first of all, we should know exactly what we are talking about, and we should put an objective. Why we should make well-being and consider as a well-being, it's one of the top achievement or goal for us. So to start with, each organization or each company have different needs. So for example, let's say as a Dubai police, our officer actually go through stress work. So for that reason, we should think about the well-being for them, because we keep saying there are our heroes in order to make the city and the country safe. So for that reason, this is the concentration from our for the well-being itself, to see exactly what we are looking for. Top management should support us. To be honest, now the government is support us. When it's come to the top management and supporting us, it's helped us a lot. Third, I can say that some people thought that mental health, well-being, it was a shame to talk about. No, it's not a shame, because we are not talking about something that it is a shame to say that I'm under stress or I don't have a life balance between my work and between my family. No, we have to say it. We should all help each other in order to go forward. And to be honest, there is a thing that we're saying that we don't want our employees to burn out. So for that reason, we introduce the mental resilience for them in order to be ready for any events and any supporting the safety and security aspect on the city itself.
Yeah, my advice would be start. Start somewhere. It's not complicated, but the most important is communication among yourselves, among employees, among the tenants, and you are walking the talk, and your top management needs to really sell that idea and be confident and be committed to it genuinely. And for us, I mean, again, I'll repeat it, we are lucky at Al-Futtaim. It is a way of life. It's because the brand name is linked to itself, the owners themselves, the stakeholders, they care. So it's never difficult to get an approval to spend and invest heavily in enhancing something that does not have a return of investment. It's not always what is the dollar that is coming out of it. It's what value am I getting in 10 years or 20 years, and it is acceptable. You could get to build a building that does not have a return immediately or a short term, because it's something that you're looking for long term. We're willing to spend right now something that adds a lot of sport elements into the city, and it wasn't about how much of return it has, it's how much it will enhance the community around the city itself. So it's that culture that has to be embedded, otherwise you'll never be successful in that journey.
I mean, just the wellness, there is a cost that is associated to this, to the wellness. But when you think about what you want to achieve, which is ultimately the happiness of whether employees or your guests, so that cost can be absorbed and can be justified. The guest, as Jalil mentioned, there is a return on investment when you apply those measures into the hotel, and you can create a wellness room or wellness corridors or wellness floors. So that will enable you eventually to sell higher and then to get to upside. Now for the employees, that's, again, it's a holistic approach. It's mental, physical, and emotion. And that also include career development and others. And that will, bring happy employees, and again, happy employees means happy customers.
Thank you very much. I think we're unfortunately out of time, but that's a really good note to close on. So start your journey, and the ROI, it's not only ROI, there's also social return on investment and other things that come with an ESG journey. I'd like to thank you all for your time, and thank you for listening.